Hi guys, this is Kenny Martin, and these are the video course notes to the Ultimate Guide to Light that we did in Wigan. Thank you very much for coming along to see it, and I hope that these notes will be useful to you as you go through them and remember the stuff that we talked about. I'll recap on a couple of things. Let's have a little chat about the meter first of all. Incident readings, that's pointing the camera from the subject towards the light and reading the amount of light actually hitting the subject. You should always have the meter pointed towards the main light, or indeed the hair light or any other light you're using, but it should be pointing towards the light, because at all times you're looking to be exposing for the highlights to get the ultimate drama in the shots. Now, all these images, as you very well know, are absolutely straight out of camera. They're totally untouched. In fact, I shot RAW and JPEG, and these are, as you see down the bottom here, these are the JPEGs straight out of camera. Lighting wise, remember we talked about the fill light. The fill light should be the largest, most non-evident light source that you have in your studio. By far, the best thing is to simply fire a bare bulb from a strobe or a studio flash unit directly into the back wall and let that light come back across and fill the entire plane of the subject matter, and that will then fill in all the shadows for you. The position of the fill light should be either directly behind the camera or slightly to the side of the camera, but on the same side as the main light, which is going to be here. So all the lights, when I do traditional portraiture, would tend to be coming round on one side, and that gives you more shape and depth, etc. to the images. Let's start off, in fact, with the fill light, and the image that you can see on the left here is indeed the fill light only, and this is a fill light shot at f4, which is metered for f4, but the actual exposure is of course for f8. It's going to be 2 stops underexposed, and that's exactly what it shows. So there's no real specularity or evidence of shape to the face at all. If we have a little look here, you can see that there's just nothing there. Light's bang in the middle, there's no shape, there's nothing at all to that image. So that's the fill light, and that's exactly what I want it to look like. I don't really want any shape in it, because the shape's then created by the main light. The fill light is there simply to fill in these shadows here. So that's our main light. If we can now bring in another light, and let's just bring in this one here, and we'll rotate that around a little bit. And the position of the next shot, which of course the main light's at 45 degrees, is here. Now in this case, we've got rid of this light, and we've only got the main light. And as you can see, we've created very, very deep shadows in here. And what's happening is we're actually just really illuminating the scene. So we're just blasting light across using this light here and illuminating the scene. So this one here has been shot at f8, it's been exposed for f8, it's been metered for f8, and that's the result, yeah? The next one, we have brought back in the fill light. So this shot here, we have fill light and we have main light. The main light's exposed for f8, the fill light's exposed for f4. We've got a 2-stop difference between the two lights. That's given us what you would call a 4:1 lighting ratio. Every half f-stop is 1 full lighting ratio. So there is 4 half-stops between these two lights. So it's a 4:1 lighting ratio. It's quite simple, really, once you start to work with it. Now, the thing about this is there's not really any craft to it. This is what I would call illuminating. It's not really lighting. So again, if we come in close here and have a look, you'll find that we've got kind of small catch lights in the eyes. It's not particularly nice. There's not a lot of control here on the lighting on the face. And the other thing that's happening, of course, is the light is spinning across and actually lighting the background as well. So it's spreading so far across the actual scene. Now I'm going to change this light here for the next one to another one of these, which is more like what we shot on the day. The next one, remember, was in here, very, very close to the subject. Let's have a look. So what we have now is we have a much nicer, softer light source on the face. It's much less harsh. We've got a nicer shadow to highlight graduation here. We've got much bigger catch lights in the eyes, beautiful catch lights in the eyes. In fact, they really drag you in towards the scene. And we've got no light hitting the background. So if you look at this one here and look at the background, and you look at this one here and look at the background, there's a big difference. We've got a nice, deep, saturated colour in the background there. Now this one here, this is called feathering the light. So what happens is the light actually is lighting across here, but there is just enough light skimming on the face, and Judy's really being lit by this edge of the light here. So we're getting this beautiful look on the face, yeah? So this is getting more if we come back and look at all four together, yeah? So we have fill light only, we have fill light and main light, we have main light only, and then we have a much more controlled shot where we're bringing in the softbox much closer to the face, yeah? Okay, so we move to the next one, and we're now moving in and bringing a hair light in. So have a look at the difference between the two of them here. Beautiful hair light in here. Now what we would tend to use for a hair light is a much smaller little softbox. So if I bring this one in here, bring this across here, slight rotation, just in here. Now I prefer to use a small softbox for a hair light because it gives a much nicer spread and it gives a much nicer light on the face rather than using a little, one of these things here. Yeah. So, or particularly even one of these things here. But if you're using the snoot or you're using a reflector with a grid on it, it tends to become very harsh. Does the hair light? So basically, we've got f4, we've got f8, and we've got f8 here. Really, I think it was between 5.6 and f8, or it was 5.6.5, something like that, to get this light. Because remember, the light that comes from behind actually does appear brighter than any light that appears from the front of the camera. Now, I want you to keep in mind, guys, that these shots are absolutely straight out of camera. The only thing that really needs done to these pictures is to maybe a little bit of skin softening using an automated program, perhaps a little darkening around the edge in some of them, but really they're pretty much ready straight out of camera, and that's what I am trying to achieve here. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to introduce a background light, and we're on the dark background here. So we have the main light, we have a fill light, it's filling in the shadows here, we have the background light. Now, in this instance, we decided to use a reflected reading of the background, and the reason for that is that because you're shooting onto a velvet background, black velvet background, there's a huge amount of saturation of colour, of light, should I say. So what happens is the light gets saturated into black and it doesn't show up. So if you do an instant reading pointing towards the light source, you'll tend to find that you're not going to get any light in the background because it's basically getting lost within that deep black. So what we need to do is we need to take a reflected reading, and that will then take into account, of course, the amount of saturation in the background, and we'll end up with a beautiful piece of light behind the subject, which is going to separate it from the background. Now again, I'm looking for f8 on this. You could go a little bit higher, maybe f8.5, f11, you'll still get away with it, but you will need more power than you think, because as I say, if you take an instant reading, it's going to give you the wrong reading. And we'll look at the next shot, you can see exactly what I'm talking about here. So we've went from the one on the left here, which we have no light at all, and this was taking a reading at f8 as an instant reading. This was taken at f8 as a reflected reading, in other words, taking the consideration of the background into the case, and of course it's a much nicer picture. So what we're talking about here is we're talking about a 4 light setup. We've got fill light filling in the shadows here, we've got main light, which is making this beautiful light in the face, we've got a hair light, which is creating that beautiful light around the side there, and we've got a background light, and we're talking about f4 here, we're talking about f8 here, we're talking about f8 here, and we're talking about f8 here. That cannot be any simpler, but that's a beautiful classic traditional style of portraiture. Now we're going to move on to the next shot here, and I've tried to explain here about how you must move your main light each time you take the image, otherwise you're going to end up with flat lighting, and this is what's happened here. So if we get rid of this light here, which we did, and we get rid of this light here, which we did, and we also, I think if I remember, got rid of the fill light as well. So we then made Julia, of course, look off camera, but we didn't move the main light. So what's actually happening here is the light is now coming in flat towards Julie's face. Therefore, if we look at the catch lights here, we can see the light's right smack in the middle of the eyes, and the face is actually quite flat. There's a little bit of shape, that's because there's no fill light, but it's flat. It's not really what I'm wanting. I'm looking for more specularity. I'm looking to try and get a little bit of specularity up here, a little bit of specularity in here, in here, in here, and in here, and you don't get that with flat light. It's only when you start to move the light, and it needs to be 45 degrees to the nose, so it needs to come round this way a little bit. So we're going to take this light and we're going to move it round to here, and that's going to go to there. So can you see the difference between that shot and that shot? We're now starting to get specular, 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 and specular, whereas this is just pure flat in the face. So this has got much more drama and much more power in the image. Yeah, so that's that one there. We're going to do a profile. What we're going to get is we're going to get this flat light. It's exactly the same again, because from her nose, that light is smacking right in front of it. Yeah, so we're getting the light coming right into the face, and it's creating flat lights. What I actually need to do to get it proper is to take it round here, and of course bring it at 45 degrees to the nose this way. And then we move from that shot here to that shot here. Much more dramatic style of image. Yeah, so we're getting the idea. We need to keep moving the light round as the nose moves away from camera. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next shot here, and this is where we did a few different shots just with a single softbox. So we started off, let's come back here, we started off with the very simple at 45 degrees, looking at camera, and the only thing I've done to these pictures, by the way, is just a little bit of cropping. I've cropped these ones here, and that's all. So basically this is the bog standard shot, 6 feet, 8 feet away from the customer, light spilling all over the place, not really lightening it, more illuminating it, but it's quite nice. So we've got that shot there. We've then taken this shot here where we've taken it right in, and we've moved to here, which of course has eliminated any light hitting the background, the white background, which is giving this beautiful deep grey background. So again, single softbox. We've then moved, of course, to here and brought the light round a little bit further. So we're taking 2/3 looking off camera shots. So that's our 3 kind of standard looking at camera shots. Yeah. We've then done the profile. So we've taken it to here, and we've taken it round here, and this one here is back here, and we've got this beautiful semi-profile shot. We've got the back eye in here. So that's our 4 classic traditional shots there, all taken with a single softbox, and all giving a different feel to the image. We then move on to this one here, and this was dead simple. This is here above camera, and we have, of course, a reflector right under here. And what this is giving us is it's giving us this lovely light up the top here, and we've got a reflector under here. You can see the silver, which is lighting up the face. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful, nice fashion lighting. And as far as I remember here, I think we photographed it something like f4 or f4.5, and we've got this nice out of focus here, and so it's got a real fashiony feel to it. We've then got the next shot where I actually am going to appear in the eye here, and we're in a big octabox, so we get rid of that, and we take the big octabox. That'll do fine. We bring that down there, and essentially this is right behind the sitter. So this gets rid of this, and this gives you this amazing flat fashion look again. We've then used the softbox on the back. Yep, so this is what we've done here, and we've taken the meter reading from the face, looking back towards the light, something like f16, f22, and that's been the exposure. So you've got not only a light in the face, you've actually got the main light acting as the background as well. Now bear in mind that none of these photographs are have been touched, so they're all straight out of camera. So I'm particularly pleased about that. So if we just come back here and we have a look at all the images together, in fact let's look at this lot together. So this was from here to here. These were all shot with single softbox, one after the other, straight out of camera. Very nice. And this lot here, of course, were our demonstration just to show you how and where the light should be positioned. I hope that that has made some sort of sense to you. I hope you can see the transition. I hope you can see the difference between flat light and shape of light, and I hope you can see how funky you can be with a single softbox. Anyway, if I can be of any help to any of you guys in the future, if you fancy a one-to-one, come to another class, me come to your studio, whatever the case may be, that's what I do for a living, please give me a shout. I'll be delighted to do that for you. I hope this video has been useful. I've been Kenny Martin, and hopefully we'll see you in another workshop soon. Thanks a million. Bye.